This is Sunrise Extra, streaming live on Wave Now.
Good morning, July 1st. Thanks so much for joining us right here. I'm Shannon Kogan.
And I'm Olivia Russell.
And I'm Tawana Andrew.
There you go. Introduce yourself. Yeah, we're streaming on Wave Extra right now. And it's the first day of July. I feel like this year has just flown by.
Yeah, just in an instant, we're going to be into Halloween, which apparently people are already decorating for. And we've learned today. And we're going to be towards Christmas soon. So, yeah,
some people keep those decorations up all year round.
Honestly, why not?
It's easy.
It's exactly.
Yeah, saves time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
so they got a lot of rain in Indiana.
Yeah, over the past 24 hours, parts of Lawrence County and Jackson County have seen more than 6+ inches of rain. So that's something that really could slow some people down. Thankfully, not as much rainfall today, which is certainly some good news as you're heading out and about. But what we're dealing with right now in Bardstown, that mix of sun and clouds. So we have the sunshine getting through the clouds after some of those showers move through your area. We were watching some pretty heavy rain earlier this morning. That has since fizzled out, but even the light rain is causing some issues in terms of travel this morning. So just keep that in mind. We're watching those scattered light showers anywhere from near English up towards North Vernon and towards Scottsburg as well. Some steady, heavier rainfall showing up anywhere from Carroll County towards Newcastle. So keep an eye on that as it moves off towards the northeast. In the metro, it's just some very light rain and some drizzle showing up across parts of Louisville, anywhere from near Jeffersonville down through the Highlands and right along Bardstown Road, dealing with more of that rain. Also a little bit of that heavier rainfall showing up right at the intersection of 264 and 65. So we'll watch that. Some scattered lighter showers from Bullitt County into the E-Town area and back towards Taylorsville. So everything that we're seeing in most locations for this morning is considerably lighter. But as we get into the afternoon, we'll get some more of those thunderstorms coming back into our forecast as that cold front moves through and our temperatures try to warm up. Later on this evening, most of us will be dry with sunshine, but an isolated downpour or two still possible. So over the next 12 hours, yes, we're starting off in those 60s and 70s. We'll end up in the 80s for this afternoon, and then we'll see more heat on the way for later on this week.
Thank you, Tawana. This morning, 2 businesses in Henry County face a long, costly road ahead. A 7-alarm fire destroyed the building where they built their livelihoods.
Wave News reporter Logan Perone has more on the blaze and the businesses now turned to ash.
On Main Street in Eminence, a community staple went up in smoke.
They put blood, sweat, and tears in that building every single day of their lives.
Amanda Gingrich and Lacey Lyons are friends of a couple who own Johnson & Company Flooring. The business at the heart of the small town caught fire on Monday, knocking out power for hundreds of people. Fortunately, the business is closed on Mondays and nobody was inside.
Thank God everybody's okay. That's all that matters, you know, that nobody's there and we can always rebuild.
Fire happened around 11 a.m., covering the area in a blanket of smoke.
We couldn't see anything. It's worse than pitch dark.
Fire Chief Steve Lucas says 7 departments were called in to fight the fire due to its size and the heat. 1 fireman was treated because of heat exhaustion. The power was also shut off as a precaution, but turned back on by the late afternoon as crews gained control of the fire.
Yeah, as you can see, it's pretty much a total loss.
The flames left a massive hole in the roof and an eminence. Gingrich and Lyons say the owners constantly show up for their neighbors through donations, their Christmas toy drive, and more. Now, they expect the community to do the same for them.
They've always been there for us.
They do everything.
For everybody.
Yeah. And so now it's our turn to do for them.
Yeah.
As of this hour, the cause is still under investigation. Chief Lucas says it could be days before they know what happened since the roof collapsed on the building.
A second man is now in jail in connection to a deadly shooting near U of L's campus. LMPD arrested Dakota Compton. Police say he and Brendan Spencer shot a man and woman the day after Derby on University Boulevard. The man died. The woman survived that shooting. Spencer was arrested last week. Court records show Compton pleaded not guilty to charges of complicity to murder, assault, and wanton endangerment. Compton is scheduled to be back in court July 16th.
A second child is being charged for her alleged role in a double shooting. LMPD says the 12-year-old girl turned herself in yesterday. Investigators say it's connected to a shooting on West Chestnut Street that left 2 girls needing hospital care back in May. Both victims survived their injuries. The 12-year-old is charged with complicity to assault. Last week, a 13-year-old girl was arrested and charged with assault related to the same shooting. Loved ones of a Southern Indiana 4-year-old killed in a farming accident in Jackson County said their final goodbyes. The family of Maverick Flynn gathered for his funeral yesterday. Investigators say he and his great-grandmother were killed when they were hit by a tractor just north of Seymour last week. Flynn's family says the community has been supporting them at their farm since the tragedy. A GoFundMe created to build a playground in Maverick's honor has raised more than $75,000.
It's absolutely incredible what this community has done, and you know, if it was on the flip side, we'd have been there for somebody else.
Maverick's families say they also want to start a new safety initiative for farmers they call the Maverick Minute. It encourages farmers to take a minute and check their surroundings while out in the field.
A new report shows levels of domestic violence in Kentucky have remained basically the same. The Justice and Public Safety Cabinet report found law enforcement created more than 32,000 reports related to domestic or dating violence in 2024. That is a slight dip from 2023. There was a slight increase in arrests made related to domestic violence calls last year. There was also an increase in people using services provided by Zero V, the state's coalition of domestic violence shelters. If you need help, you can contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline.
Mental health advocates in Louisville say it's a mistake for the federal government to stop funding a tool for suicide prevention.
The service is expected to end in just over 2 weeks. For years, the 988 hotline has offered a Press 3 option for LGBTQ callers seeking help in crisis. U.S. Health and Human Services leaders in the Trump administration say they are now cutting this funding. The specialized service will end July 17th. The wider hotline will remain open. Molly Jones of the Pete Foundation, based in Louisville, argues high-risk groups need tailored care. She says they benefit when someone with shared experience and training can help.
It's the same with the LGBTQ group. We can tailor that care. We can provide them a therapist, someone to talk to that has a better understanding of what they're suffering.
Federal officials launched the service as a pilot program in 2022. It's reported receiving nearly 1.3 million calls ever since. It's 7:07 and coming up, the heat is here and high school sports will be picking up soon.
When we come back, we'll tell you how JCPS is prepared to protect student athletes in the heat.
Well, if you're looking for ways to keep your teen busy and active this summer, Planet Fitness is offering a solution.
They're inviting all 14 to 19-year-olds to work out for free at any of their locations. And Wave News reporter Kirsten Foote is joining us live this morning with the details, getting a workout in early this morning. Kirsten.
Hey, Shannon, Olivia, that's right. Good morning to you guys. I'm here on the stationary bike
this morning. I'm riding through the California coast. Did you know that's on my screen right now? But we're here in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm back here with Jay. He's general manager here at Planet Fitness. And Jay, we got this free summer teen pass going on.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so as you said, it's completely free to teens ages 14 to 19. Sign up super easy. Go online, planetfitness.com/summer pass, or you can sign up in the club. And that's what it is. Teens get their own memberships. They can come in. We have a trainer on staff that will help them kind of work out fitness programs, as well as a lot of teens bring friends with them and they come in together. It's a good place to kind of have accountability workout buddies and kind of, get fit for the summer.
And the best thing is that, we've got all these cardio machines here. We've got weightlifting stuff. It's all for free for your teen this summer.
Right.
And it's a no judgment zone. Tell me a little bit about that no judgment zone.
Yeah, exactly that. So if you're like me and like most people, you want to be able to go work out and not feel like you're being made fun of or looked at funny. So we encourage, belonging and people coming in free of judgment and just enjoying their workout and enjoying that fitness journey. And we take that seriously. So of course we ask teens to follow that rule too. So
absolutely.
So everybody feels free to do their thing.
How can teens and their parents get signed up for this?
So they can either go on planetfitness.com/summer pass, or they can just come in the club and we'll get them. If you're under 18, teens have to have their parent approval, but over 18 is fine.
Heck yeah, it's a great program. It's through August 31st, so we're still on the first day of July, So plenty of time to get that free summer pass. I'll be here just, working away. Shannon and Olivia, back to you guys.
Great work this morning. Thank you, Kirsten. JCPS says it's prepared to protect student athletes as they practice this summer. The district has invested in water coolers, cool tubs, and other tools. JCPS also works with Court Physical Therapy and Norton to assign athletic trainers for practices. In the intense heat, though, experts say it can take only 10 to 15 minutes for heat illness to overwhelm a student.
Now we're in dead period, so most of these athletes aren't doing anything. They're at home playing video games or just sitting on the couch, playing on their phones, doing whatever. So then they come back, they're put into sports full force, and it's really hot. They're not used to it, so that's when we're dealing with a lot of the heat-related illnesses.
So dead period ends later this month, and students will return to practices on July 10th. But those young kids, I'm telling you, you tell them to drink water and they say, I'm fine,
right.
I'm fine. I mean, they have those young bodies, but they really try to push through it, and no, make sure they're drinking water.
Yeah, it's hot.
It is hot, and even you got to remind the adults sometimes too to make sure you're staying hydrated. So this is our note to you: make sure you're staying cool and comfortable, even as we have some of those slightly cooler temperatures in the forecast for today. So that front is gradually making its way into our area. It's the reason that we've had, of course, this rain around for today, and we're going to continue to keep an eye on more of that rainfall as the day goes along, with that more of it pushing in from the north and northwest. As of right now, a lot of us are a lot drier than what we were dealing with earlier this morning, but we are still seeing those spotty light showers from Cordon to Bedford to Seymour and up into Jennings County. So a lot of you in Indiana are dealing with these spotty showers this morning. The heavier rainfall that we were dealing with, especially in parts of Carroll County and into Henry County, is now making its way off towards the northeast, but some of these spotty showers still showing up anywhere from Franklin County into Shelby County and into the Louisville metro as well. We're seeing some drizzle and some of those light showers from Sellersburg to Prospect and towards Fern Creek, with some more steady light to moderate rainfall near Shepherdsville and Boston. Keeping an eye on some of that rain for those of you further to the south trying to push your way, but you're on the drier side as of right now. Peeking into Bardstown, we have the clouds overhead, some sunshine still able to get through, and that's what a lot of you are going to contend with today. Some occasional rounds of rain, that mix of sun and clouds in between. We're in the upper 60s and low 70s this morning. Once we get into later on this afternoon, we'll watch for more of those showers and thunderstorms pushing through. Keep in mind for later on this afternoon, that rain chance will mainly be for those of you across Kentucky, with that front sinking to the south. Now, with temperatures climbing into the 80s for later on this afternoon, even after we dry out with the widespread rain for the afternoon hours, especially towards 5, 6 o'clock, we still have to monitor a couple of isolated downpours lingering through the evening. So just going to keep that in mind. But more sunshine expected as we get into later on in the day. Then for the overnight hours, going to drop down into the 60s across the area as that drier air moves in. Highs tomorrow in the 80s for most of us, near 90 in the Louisville metro. And after all of that humidity rolls out today, we get to enjoy that lower humidity for portions of your Wednesday and Thursday. Notice it doesn't completely go away, but at least it's going to be a lot better than what we've been dealing with recently. Highs back into the upper 80s and low 90s on Thursday. That humidity remains relatively low. The heat and humidity both ramp up for the July 4th weekend. So for Saturday and Sunday, we can see mid to even upper 90s for highs. Into next week, here we go again. Another set of rain chances showing up, but these mainly look to be those isolated to scattered thunderstorms that pop during the afternoon and then fade once the sun goes down, and we'll keep those rain chances all the way at least through Friday of next week. Olivia?
All right, thanks, Tawana. An incredible story of survival out of Alabama this morning. A man is lucky to be alive after he was sucked into a storm drain during flooding last week. On Friday, Drew Owen said his son's soccer balls were being swept up by rushing floodwater, so he went to go get them and found himself in a scary situation.
Of course, I could not see anything. It was dark and this was nothing but water, but the ball was somewhere in this area, so I went to step to go get it. But when I did, of course, this ditch is steep. I stumbled into the water. So I turned around, and I guess I turned close to that pipe, and I went to come up, and then it sucked me down feet first.
Owen said he was swept 100 yards through the pipe and under a highway, completely underwater, with two thoughts in his mind.
First was that my kids weren't going to have a father and my wife wasn't going to have her husband. And then secondly, my dad's funeral was the next day, and I'm like, I'm literally going to die the day before his funeral. I came out, the water was still flowing, but I was able to grab a tree branch. And it wasn't a very big tree branch, and I'm a big guy, so I don't know how it didn't snap. It's a God thing.
Miraculously, 15 minutes later, Owen was able to walk back to his house, bruised and scratched, but thankful to be alive. He says one of his biggest blessings is that neither his kids nor any of the neighborhood kids were the ones chasing after those soccer balls. He now hopes the city will install a grate in front of the pipe to prevent any future issues and potentially save lives.
That's scary. After a year of severe weather in Kentucky, insurance experts say this is a time to check your coverage. Claude Singleton is an insurance agent with Bray & Oakley Insurance Agency. He says as many start the rebuilding process, the last thing they want to be concerned about is proper insurance coverage when filing a claim. So if you experience storm damage, you're hoping to file a claim, he suggests take pictures, keep all receipts of repairs. He also says review with an agent in advance to reduce stress if a storm damages your property.
Just walk through those scenarios with your agent. It's a big deal. It's a bigger deal after the fact, and you're scrambling and asking questions. Once a claim happens, it's hard. It's hard, and what you already have on paper is what you've got legal coverage for.
Insurance company Nationwide reports hail and wind damage are the leading causes of insurance claims, and they said that in 2021 they accounted for nearly 40% of homeowners' claims. So good to get everything taken care of in advance, right?
Absolutely.
4th of July coming up on Friday. Maybe you're buying some fireworks.
And we'll tell you how you can enjoy those fireworks while also being safe, coming up in just 2 minutes.
Tariffs are having some impact on the cost of fireworks this 4th of July, but some retailers say they aren't really feeling any tariff-related strain right now. A lot of the larger retailers bought their supplies from manufacturers in China before the tariffs went into effect. At Wacky Willie's that we checked out in Bullitt County, we found most prices still comparable to last year. The owner there says that's because his inventory shipped before the tariffs hit in April. He owns 30 locations in 3 states. He says smaller retailers, though, couldn't compete.
If you have a big enough business that you started ordering in December, January, February, March, and all that before the tariffs hit, then it didn't affect much. But some of the guys out there that run one location, one tent, or one store or stuff like that, they don't even order their stuff till May. Well, those guys got hit hard.
Buying American-made fireworks, though, not an option. According to the American Pyrotechnics Association, 99% of the consumer fireworks in the U.S. are made in China. So retailers say the best advice they have is enjoy the show now before skyrocketing prices next year.
And speaking of fireworks, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission is reminding people to be mindful about mishandling fireworks. The CPSC says there were 11 reported fireworks-related deaths last year. More than 14,000 people were injured. 1,700 of those had to go to the emergency room for injuries related to sparklers.
A lot of hand injuries, a lot of face injuries. You can have eye injuries. Believe it or not, even just the little sparklers, if you're not very careful with those, can cause injuries.
Not only do you need to ensure that everyone is celebrating safely, you also need to be aware of your surroundings, because lighting off fireworks too closely to trees or even your house can spark a fire in an instant.
Especially if you think about housing that maybe has some leaves and things like that on the roof where the gutters haven't been cleaned out in a little while. Those type of things can cause fires very quickly.
Some fireworks are illegal depending on where you live. For instance, in Louisville and Jefferson County, local ordinances prohibit the use of any fireworks that leave the ground. Well, you can help save someone's life by donating blood at the annual Stars, Stripes, and Pines Blood Drive. That blood drive is happening today and tomorrow at the UAW Union Hall on Fern Valley Road. You can donate blood from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. both days. The American Red Cross says donors of all blood types are needed right now, especially those with type O blood. If you donate, you'll get some free perks. That includes a chicken dinner, a ticket to Six Flags Amusement Park, including Kings Island, and a pair of sunglasses.
It's time to get your team together and sign up for this year's Downtown Pickleball Street Fest. Registration is open on swishtournaments.com through July 8th. You can register as a team based on your division. This is the 2nd year for the Downtown Pickleball Street Fest. It is happening Saturday, July 12th on East Main Street in downtown Louisville. The area will be transformed into an outdoor pickleball venue with 12 courts for competitive and open play, and they'll also have food trucks there, cocktails, beer, plus live music too.
It was a lot of fun last year. Very competitive out there,
too. Oh, I bet.
Yeah, very good
people take pickleball very seriously.
Yes,
right?
they do. You know, some of us are just there for fun.
Right. We're going to take a quick break, but we will be back with more, including a look at your weather.
This Wave News Update is sponsored by Oxmoor Auto Group.
Good morning, I'm Shannon Kogan. Annual Medicaid renewals for children in Kentucky will begin today. It comes after a temporary extension of automatic renewals expired. In Kentucky, more than 600,000 kids are covered by Medicaid and K-CHIP. The annual Medicaid renewals were paused during the pandemic to ensure people were able to keep their coverage. Adult renewals resumed in 2023. Now officials are reminding Kentuckians it is time to take action for your children. Families are encouraged to monitor their mail for paperwork or visit connect.ky.gov. Let's go to Tawana right now. And is that rain still coming down right now?
Yeah, we're still seeing some rain across the region, but not as heavy as what we dealt with earlier this morning. So as of right now, we are seeing some of those scattered light showers anywhere from Harrison County up towards Jackson County in Indiana, with some drizzle for those of you a little bit further to the west. Also seeing some more of the heavier rainfall pushing out of Henry and Carroll County, which is good news. We still got some of those spotty light showers stretching from Trimble County into Franklin and Shelby and even parts of Oldham County. Now a little bit of drizzle, a few light showers in parts of the metro. This does stretch for those of you south into parts of Mount Washington towards Shepherdsville and down towards Bardstown as well. Speaking of Bardstown, seeing that mix of clouds overhead with the sunshine getting through and a little bit of that drizzle nearby. Temperatures right now are in the upper 60s and the low 70s. As we continue over the next 12 hours, we are going to be watching for more of that rain coming our way in the form of scattered showers and thunderstorms with a much better rain chance for those of you further to the south of Louisville for later on this afternoon. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. A couple of issues on the roads. One crash on 64 West, that ramp at 264 East, that is blocking part of the left lane. And we're watching another one in Shelby County.
Hey, thanks for sticking with us here on Sunrise Extra. I'm Olivia Russell. Well, we continue to follow the Crystal Rogers case. The list of witnesses that have been called to the stand just continues to grow, including one of Houck's employees. But his defense is saying that employee's story continues to change throughout the years. Plus, Monday's testimony revealed the discovery of even more recording devices, plus a hair that was found in a relative's car that seemed to resemble Crystal Rogers' hair. But after some DNA testing, we'll tell you what that revealed. Plus, we heard from two more women who connect the dots on where Houck's brother, Nick Houck, was during the hours when Crystal Rogers vanished. Wave News anchor Jose Cezaya has a recap of that day in court.
Let's start with Amber Bowman, another voice prosecutors believe further shows Crystal's murder is a family conspiracy. Bowman was dating Nick Houck in July 2015 when they were moving houses. She testifies Nick decides to leave in the middle of packing to help Brooks Houck with a rental property. Over 24 hours, her 15 calls go to voicemail. She eventually finds his phone inside the new place, but no sign of Nick until July 4th, and no real answer for where he went. As all this was playing out, Frances Holt, Nick and Brooks Houck's aunt, reached out to Nick July 4th because they had a relationship and he could help Holt and her mother get back into their own home. Holt says her nephew never answered her. Looping back to last week's testimony, an IRS investigation into Rosemary Houck led to 2 agents uncovering 3 recording devices in her home. One of them was the one her son Brooks used to record himself giving his written statement to detectives. The same device also recorded both Houck's sons and their mother talking to each other after Nick, then a Bardstown police officer, had his patrol car seized. Brooks Houck's defense reiterated that their client had tried to reach out to Crystal at least 5 times, including a text that pleaded with Crystal to call him back because, quote, everyone is worried sick. But prosecutors pointed out 2 of Crystal's daughters and his mother called him on July 4th. He only responded to Rosemary Houck. The witness who spent the most time on the stand Monday, Charlie Girdley, a man who worked for Brooks Houck and with Steve and Joey Lawson doing construction. Girdley's past testimony helped prosecutors convict Steve, but Girdley told more than 5 different versions of what happened that night and who was involved, all in the same KSP interview in 2023. Houck's defense seizes on those inconsistencies to shred his credibility. U.S. Marshals arrested Girdley for a probation violation, and he was later questioned by Kentucky State Police. Houck's defense argues KSP offered him a deal in exchange for a story that matched the version they wanted to hear. The settled version, according to Houck's team, that July 3rd, Girdley and Joey Lawson went to meet Houck to get Rogers' car keys. Later, Joey would call him, asking for help picking up Rogers' car on the Bluegrass Parkway that had a flat tire. But Girdley said he'd been drinking and could not. Girdley also testified that Steve Lawson told him Houck wanted Crystal gone. Girdley ended by saying, quote, "What I've testified to is the truth." To wrap up their day, prosecutors called Jefferson County Sheriff's Office Detective Jamie Brooks. The detective shared a search warrant was secured to search Anna Whiteside's white Buick. Whiteside is Brooks and Nick Houck's grandmother. When they went to look inside, deputies learned it had been sold, so they tracked it down to a Louisville dealership. Inside LMPD's forensics lab, analysts found a hair from the trunk, and it was similar, but not a DNA match, to Crystal's hair. That revelation made one of Crystal's daughters and mom, Sherry Ballard, leave the courtroom in tears. The detective also shared 2 details prosecutors wanted to stress. Security video showed Nick and his grandmother trying to sell the Buick at another dealership, and a salesman from there testified the pair wanted to offload it, but not have anyone check the car's interior.
And as a reminder, you can always stay up to date with everything that happens each day with our online blog. We are updating it throughout the day. Cameras are not allowed in court, but we do have a team there in the courtroom giving us updates whenever they have breaks. And we'll also be providing updates on air and here on Wave Now throughout the day. Well, a Louisville bar that served alcohol to minors is agreeing to pay thousands of dollars in fines to Metro Alcoholic Beverage Control. 21st in Germantown pleaded guilty to the violations and agreed to pay $10,000 with an additional $31,000 held for 1 year as long as they follow ABC rules. ABC says the bar developed a pattern of violations, including over-serving and serving underage customers. 21st was forced to close for 30 days after officers caught minors drinking on the property. ABC also took away the bar's 4 a.m. license. When they reopen, they must close at 2. Annual Medicaid renewals for children in Kentucky begins today. This after a temporary extension of automatic renewals expired. In Kentucky, more than 600,000 kids are covered by Medicaid and K-CHIP. The annual Medicaid renewals were paused during the pandemic to ensure people were able to keep their coverage. Adult renewals resumed in 2023. Now officials are reminding Kentuckians it's time to take action for your children.
we need families to continue to complete those renewal forms, make sure that they're keeping their kids covered, enrolled in Medicaid. And, you know, as we learn more, we need to advocate with our legislators to make sure that these programs stay fully funded. But no family should be discouraged from, you know, completing the renewal process.
Health officials say not every family will go through the process in July. About 8,000 families have already gotten their notices, and other households will get theirs later in the year. Families are encouraged to monitor their mail for paperwork or visit connect.ky.gov. Today marks a new era for JCPS. It'll be Dr. Brian Yearwood's first day as the district's new superintendent. Dr. Yearwood is starting his 4-year contract, earning $350,000 a year. He previously worked as superintendent for Columbia Public Schools in Missouri. In hiring Yearwood, school board members pointed out his record of increasing school test scores and ability to manage district finances. Former JCPS superintendent Dr. Marty Polio is now the new president of Ivy Tech Community College. Well, drivers, starting today, it'll cost you more to take the toll bridges between Louisville and southern Indiana. Riverlink says the increased costs will help them keep up with operations and bridge maintenance. Those fees are going up by 2.5%. The lowest toll will be $2.68 per crossing, and the most expensive toll hits at more than $16. Those fees are based on your vehicle and whether you have a transponder. Starting today, it'll cost you more to park in some places in Louisville. Park is raising the price for monthly reserved, unreserved, and residential parking rates in their garages. Daily parking rates, though, will not be affected. The last time monthly parking rates were raised was in January of 2023. Some new laws are set to go into effect today in Indiana. For the first time in nearly 2 decades, a new tax on cigarettes is coming to Indiana. So starting today, a pack of cigarettes will now be taxed an extra $2. Officials with the American Cancer Society say the goal of this new tax is to decrease smoking, cancer, and increase state revenue.
It is going to lead to some folks quitting cigarette smoking, which is obviously our aim and our goal by doing that, because we want healthier Hoosiers in our state and we want less cancer cases across our state. I mean, we see people who have this extra money now who have quit smoking cigarettes, invest their money in other ways, make additional purchases. And overall, across the country, we haven't seen businesses shutter their doors because of tax increases.
Indiana officials say the increase is expected to help an estimated 32,000 adults quit smoking and prevent 7,000 teens from making it a habit. New Albany's mayor is pushing back against the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and its request to reverse changes done to the Providence Mill Dam. Mayor Jeff Gahan says undoing the work at the dam in Silver Creek would bring back dangerous water conditions that trap swimmers. The Corps ordered the city to return the dam to its original condition, saying Mayor Gahan did not receive proper permits for emergency work at the dam in 2024. Those alterations came after 14-year-old Andre Edwards Jr. drowned swimming near the dam on Memorial Day that year. Gahan says he wants the Corps to clarify what original condition exactly means. Gahan is also proposing a joint meeting with state and federal partners in July to resolve any issues outside of court. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in about 2 minutes. Thanks so much for sticking with us here on Sunrise Extra. I'm Olivia Russell. Well, a lot of people will be hitting the road for 4th of July weekend, which is just a couple of days away. So good news for those drivers that are hitting the road. The price of summer holiday gas hasn't been this cheap since 2021. According to Gas Buddy, prices at the pump are expected to average between $3.10 and $3.15 per gallon nationally. That's down from $3.49 per gallon last year. According to AAA, a record-setting 61.6 million people are expected to travel by car this 4th of July weekend. That's up 2.2% compared to last year. Experts say July 4th falling on a Friday has a lot of people planning on traveling. So if you're hitting the road around 11 o'clock or noon, they say you're most likely to get hit by heavy traffic. So be aware of that. Now, according to AAA, the average gallon of gas in Kentucky will run you around $2.88. In Louisville, it's a bit more expensive at $3.03 a gallon. Over in Indiana, prices are about 30 cents higher than that, coming in at $3.20 a gallon. So the busiest road travel times will be Wednesday, July 2nd between noon and 9 p.m. and on Sunday, on July 6th between noon and 6 p.m. Very important to keep in mind if you're hitting the road. Giant warehouses are popping up across the country, and what's inside could impact not just how much you pay for power, but whether your lights stay on. Those warehouses are home to data centers that drain huge amounts of energy. There's been pushback in our area with the Oldham County data center proposal. The data center originally had its eye on 267 acres on Highway 53. Those plans have changed and moved now to the current Sauerbeck Family Drive-In location on DW Griffith Lane. Senior national investigative reported Jose Sterman discovered that those data centers can be built under a cloak of secrecy, with customers left paying the bills.
What was Ari Govani Young's oasis in suburban Virginia has been transformed into a concrete jungle, a cement shadow rising to the sky just 200 feet from her balcony.
We were the test subject to see, can we build a data center this close to a community? And yes, you can.
Data centers are essentially warehouses filled with computer processors, servers, and equipment. They can be used for cloud computing and storage, the machines that make it possible to hold on to your old email and pictures. Lately, they've also become a hub for artificial intelligence.
Data centers are vital to enabling critical and emerging technologies like AI that are essential to U.S. national security, our global competitiveness, and economic prosperity.
The competition is a power struggle, not just to dominate the AI industry globally, but also to provide the energy needed to physically fuel data centers here at home, creating unease about the pain customers may feel in their pocketbook.
That, to me, should be setting off alarm bells.
It's something Tyson Slocum, an energy expert with the nonprofit consumer group Public Citizen, has been warning about.
Big tech wants to see someone else pick up the tab for all this expensive infrastructure.
Although industry leaders say they're committed to paying the full cost of service for the energy they use, experts dispute that. And many people don't even know the behemoths that could impact their power bill are even being built.
If someone wants to come build something, they should be proud and be willing to come at the very first opportunity in front of your community.
But many people are being kept in the dark about the development of data centers with non-disclosure agreements used as the projects get off the ground. Some companies are requiring local governments to keep the details secret until certain water and power deals are locked.
We've heard directly from folks that very often, under the terms of the NDA, the big tech companies reach a tentative agreement with local officials, and then the local officials say, okay, now we go to the public. But by then, it's a done deal.
The Data Center Coalition, a trade organization, says NDAs protect company-specific information, details they might be hesitant to share given the competition. And Meta told our team that maintaining confidentiality increases the speed and efficiency of projects, pointing out that sometimes they choose not to move forward, so these agreements keep them from pulling communities through the ups and downs of the process. Still, this development can happen under a veil of secrecy, even though the projects may put a substantial strain on individual customers and the nation's power grid as a whole.
It's a very daunting challenge for the country.
Jim Robb is the president and CEO of the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, which ensures the reliability of our power grid. It's already being tested. An April presentation to federal regulators obtained by our team shows a near miss last summer that involves 60 data centers that simultaneously dropped off the grid and could have led to blackouts.
If they come off the grid in ways that we don't understand, can't predict, and can't manage, they can introduce oscillations in the grid, instability, which can eventually start to impact people's ability to use power in their homes.
Back in what they call Virginia's data center alley, people like Ari Gavani-Young say developers need to do more to break down the walls of secrecy before they start physically building foundations.
And many of the data center companies say they're already innovating and looking for ways that they can reduce grid strain and use renewable energy sources. Plus, we also know of several states that have legislation proposed or they're working on to make sure that the costs related to data centers aren't passed on to everyday customers. We'll be right back with more Wave Extra right after this. A new 8-part docuseries made by actor Steve Zahn is highlighting Kentucky's culture, food, and communities. So the series, called You Belong Here, takes viewers on a journey through 9 Kentucky communities over the course of a year. Zahn worked with Kentucky chef Weta Michael to create the series. Chef Weta says the series highlights the farm-to-table connections, culinary excellence, and diverse stories of Kentuckians, which she says can be taken for granted.
In Kentucky, we have this rich, deep food culture. We don't celebrate it like they do in New Orleans, do we? We don't think about it being unique. We don't think about putting it right up there with our poetry, putting it right up there with our prose. And this show does all that.
And she is an incredible chef, I have to say. The series was presented at film festivals in New York City back in June, and it's still waiting for a full public release. Playing in Wimbledon for the first time, former Kentucky men's tennis player Gabriel Diallo did not waste the opportunity to claim his first victory on those hallowed grounds yesterday. The Canadian Wildcat defeated Germany's Daniel Altmaier 6-1, 6-2, 6-4 in a match lasting an hour and 41 minutes. Diallo has now won the opening round contest in each of his last 4 Grand Slam appearances and holds a winning record of career best-of-5 set matches. The Canadian currently holds a career-high ranking of number 40 after claiming his first career ATP Tour title earlier this month. Diallo awaits the winner of Fritz and Pericard that was suspended last night due to curfew. Well, you'll soon be able to play as some of your favorite college basketball programs once again. EA Sports announced yesterday that they'll be making the college basketball game again, breaking the news in a social media post that read, quote, Bring the madness. Let's run it back. The last time the company released a college basketball game was back in 2009. This new game will feature both men's and women's teams too. However, fans will have to wait a little while before they can play it. The outlet Extra Points is reporting the game will be released in 2028. So have to wait a little bit, but I know a lot of people still very excited about that. There will be 3 new WNBA franchises coming to the league as they announced new expansion teams yesterday. And this is so exciting for a lot of people just to see the league grow. So before the end of the decade, the WNBA will have new teams in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia. That'll be a total of 18 franchises, an all-time high for the league, which recently set a record in attendance, merchandise sales, and television rankings. Cleveland's new team is set to start by 2028, respectively, followed by Detroit and Philadelphia in 2029 and 2030. Among the other cities who submitted expansion bids but failed to get picked include Houston, Kansas City, and Nashville. And I'm sure a lot of people still think that Louisville deserves to be on the list for some of that. But speaking of the WNBA, the All-Star Game is coming up later this month in Indianapolis, and a familiar face will be a captain for the game. Caitlin Clark earns the honor after receiving almost 1.3 million fan votes. That's an all-time WNBA record. Her teammate, Kelsey Mitchell, received more votes than she did as a player, so a lot of votes being counted there. As a result, so her teammate Kelsey Mitchell did receive more player votes, so Clark didn't have the highest weighted score among guards. That honor went to #1 overall pick Paige Beckers, whose 3.25 edged out Clark's 3.5 score, but still so many votes there, and awesome to see the league getting so much attention. Thanks so much for joining us here on Wave Extra. We'll be back here tomorrow at 7 o'clock with so many more updated headlines. Hope you have a great Tuesday.